Hi, welcome to Tawlet El Sifra dinner table. Today, I would like to talk to you about things that are happening around the world, and I just feel very, very badly about. And I think that we all contribute to it. Uh, the conflicts that's happening around us, uh, people hating each other. One of the things that I loved about coming to the United States is how loved we were. When I remember that when we came here, people were eager to know where we came from and what our country was like, and if we miss anybody from our homeland and that kind of thing. When my parents um, did the Pledge of Allegiance and became citizens, the university here in this area, in this city, higher officials at the city invited them to dinner and they gave my mom a corsage of red, white, and blue. The centerpieces on the table were red, white, and blue. It was a celebration of them becoming Americans. And everybody there, people of the arts, they were part of the symphony, the opera, the university, the common civic society here in this area. They were from all walks of life. They were from politically, we didn't know where they stood, and it didn't matter. They didn't care where we stood. All they cared about is people who came to this country because they saw a light that can shine on their future, which is my parents, and that they can live. They're looking for a better life, and they were very proud that their country is offering that to them. And since then, which is 48 years ago, we've lived a wonderful life. I don't think for one second that we ever regretted coming here. As a matter of fact, we feel very blessed. We thank every inch of this country for giving us the life that we have. I'll tell you later about me going to Iraq and why, and it's all related to that. But today, I want to bring it to current events. We are so disturbed with what's happening. We all have problems with conflicts in religion, conflicts in politics, conflicts in immigrations, conflicts in everything. You know, I look at our government, the Secretary of State, who is not, he comes from a background, his family come from a background that are immigrants. So when he says that bad immigrants have to leave, he's not being a hypocrite. He's not saying that all immigrants have to leave. And I'm not talking about legal or illegal. No, I'm talking about immigrants. Like when he says students that come to this country and they say things or do things, or they belong to some kind of organizations that hurts the United States or anti-United States, they should return. He's not saying that and being a hypocrite. Nobody should say to him, well, you are an immigrant. Yeah, he was an immigrant, but he never doubted that the opportunity that he has here is a great opportunity. People of the Middle East send their kids. They wait till their kids grow to be 18, 19. Once they finish high school, they save all their lives to send their kids so they can come here and get a better education. They do everything possible in their hands so their kids can have an opportunity like all the Americans and have that upper hand of working and getting an education from the United States and working in companies that are worldwide and very high level, because they believe that this country offers that type of education. So we don't need to have those kids come here and say things that hurts the United States. One of my friends asked me one time and said, everybody should be free to say what they say. I totally agree. Here I am. I am saying what I feel like I'm saying, because that's how I feel. And everybody should say what they feel like they could say. However, I also think that if somebody comes to my house and I open my door and say, here, you can have anything you want. You're welcome here. My house is your house. and then they turn around and say, "You're an awful person. You should not be alive. You should go to just things that are very, very bad and insulting to me." What do I do? Do I just say, "Thank you very much, stay here"? And if they start hurting me or hurting my kids or hurting the property that they're welcome to stay, what do I do? I mean, put yourself in that position. I always look at things from this perspective. A family becomes a neighborhood on a larger scale, and a neighborhood becomes the city or the county, and then it grows and grows and grows and becomes a country. So everything that applies to me personally, as in my family, should also apply to the country. Now, the difference is I sometimes will take or not take some things in my household, but I will accept it on the larger scale because the rest of the country vote this way or this way. That's basically fine. However, if I'm not letting somebody come to my house and insult me and say awful things about me and my family and my house and destroys my house, then I should allow this country to take measures to stop people from doing that. Now, if the measures is sending them back home, I think that's a little bit too overdone, or over whatever, but overreach. But they should. Somebody has to have a talk with these people. Somebody has to have somebody who they trust and they believe that this person they can talk to should explain this to them. Look, we're not saying don't have the belief that you believe or don't say the things that you say, but don't go out in public and destroy a community just because you have the right to do it where you can't over there where you came from. I could not talk. I could not express my feelings or my thoughts when I was in Iraq. Everybody, when we always joked about it, everybody who came from Iraq for many, many years after we came here, and people are moving here from Iraq because they escaped, because they were able to run away. They, for the first 6 months or so, when they want to talk about the government, they lower their voice and say it very lightly because they're afraid that somebody's going to hear them and put them in jail, because that's how it is over there. There is no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of anything over there. We were brainwashed. I did not live under Saddam, but I lived under the regime that brought Saddam, so it was basically the same. I was there when Ahmed Hassan Bakr was there, but I left before Saddam came. But it's the same thing. We're afraid to say anything. I can tell you stories after stories after stories of my own friends who in school said something, and then by the time they went home, the police were waiting for them and took them to jail. There is just a matter of saying something, not because they expressed their thoughts, but they said something. We need to have this freedom of speech here, and that's a good thing, and that's a wonderful thing. But all of these people that are coming from the Middle East, they don't have that. So they come here, and then they decide, okay, well, I can do or say anything, and nobody can stop me. So let's destroy. Let's use our words to destroy the country that welcomed us. Where is that an okay thing? What world, I'm not going to say what country, but what world is that an okay thing? Yesterday, I saw a post on, I don't remember whether it was Instagram or YouTube, where a big, huge community of Arabs, and I want to say, I don't think that they're all Muslims, but Arabs, were in the outside the Christmas holiday celebration market, I believe, in Milan, in Italy, where that big Duomo church is, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands holding Arab flags, and they're singing Arabic songs in very loud voices to make it make it difficult for those people who are either worshiping or celebrating Christmas or doing something in that area, to make it difficult to continue on their whatever celebration they do. And these are thousands and thousands of them, and all very loud because they can. So here's the dilemma. What if they can? That doesn't mean destroy. Do I want to say now that, okay, well, now maybe being in your country and not being able to say or do any of this stuff is a good thing for you. Maybe having a ruler in your country that stops you from saying what you're saying now in public, maybe that's a good thing for you. You deserve that. Should I say that? No. I think that they come out of in ignorance way. I don't think they know what they're doing. I think somebody sparks that light that say, hey, let's go. What are they going to do? Well, they're not going to do anything to us. Let's go. Let's go over there and chant and scream and yell or whatever, and we can stop them. They cannot celebrate this infidel. They cannot celebrate this religion that they have, which is the wrong religion, all of that stuff. Are you out of your mind? Are you sure you want to do this? What have you created that one or two people that spark this and got all these thousands of people doing this? What do you think is going to happen? That's it? You're going to control the country? Is that how you control the country. What do you think is going to happen after that? Are you going to have a ruler of your own? Now, that's what you have in your country. That's what you have in your country. A ruler of your own. They don't know how to rule unless they dictator. They dictate. They do not have rulers. They do not have presidents. They have dictators. And that's what's going to end up happening if that's how they rule. But I'm not saying that immigration is wrong. I think people should come to this country and to Italy and to everywhere else. If they're unhappy in their country and they want to go somewhere else, and if they can, if the laws allows it, that's fine. But somehow, somewhere on the way from the borders to normal life, they need to be lectured and they need to be trained and they need to be aware of what the consequences of these actions are going to be. What are you trying to do? Are you just trying to make enemies? Isn't this the new country that you've dreamed all your life to move to? Don't you want to make friends? Don't you want to be part of it? Or do you just want to be anti the country you're in? Anti-American, anti-Italy, anti-England, anti-all of that. Why would you want to create enemies? I believe that everything can be better if we're friends. Common grounds. Common grounds is the best thing. I lived in Iraq all my life. I never heard anybody trying to change anybody's religion. That all happened after we left. My mom had 3 best friends. I don't know what the religion they were from, they had. All I know is they visited each other's during holidays and all the holidays, and they did a lot of things. My best friends that I grew up with, they were all different religion. I didn't care what religion they were. They didn't care what religion I am. Nobody came to me and said, change your religion. I didn't go change anybody's religion. We had common grounds. We knew where we stood. We knew where the more important things are. Where we move from here is where we need to go back to. When I went to Iraq in 2004, and I'll explain to you later why I went, but when I went there, some of the women there who were my generation were saying, we need to go back to our grandparents' era. We need to go back to grandparents' generation. Because our kids' generation had that division in there. We need to go back to the grandparents where we were there. We were the grandparents. The way that life was in the Middle East, where there was no division, nobody hated each other, nobody hated one another, nobody wanted to change the other person, nobody wanted to say, I'm right and you're wrong, and you gotta see it my way, or I'm gonna kill you. You're gonna be my enemy. I didn't care if somebody had a different point of view. I still don't. I came here to this country. I learned a lot more of that. I learned how to become someone who accepts people for who they are. But the problem is, there are a lot of people that are not accepting, and that's where we're seeing all of these divisions. Now, here in the United States, the governments and the Republicans and Democrats and whatever, that's happening, that's always happened. Maybe people see that it's happened more, that's different. But I'm talking about the people who live here, who are coming here, who are visiting here. Those people, they need to have some sort of a class. They need to go through this tunnel of learning, this school of how to become part of this country that I'm moving to, how to appreciate the country I'm in. Just because I hated my country when I was there and wanted out, didn't care about the country or the government or anything like that, doesn't mean that I will go to every country and hate it. That's just, it's not a nature of me. That should be something that I will go there and say, oh, wow, look at this country. It accepted me. It took me out of where I was unhappy. Let's see what I can do to appreciate, to show this country how much I appreciate it. But that has to be a class. They're not going to, obviously, they have a lot of movements toward not allowing that to happen. So the movement to love the country where you're in has to be given to them as a civic class. And I don't know where we go with that. I don't know how to do it, but I'd love to participate in that. I'd love to offer that. I'd love to help people. When people come to this country and they see me and they say, oh, I want to be like you, you speak very well English, you're part of this society or whatever, I want to be like you, I say, I'll be happy to help you. More than anything, I'll be happy to help you. But I don't know if there's any kind of, like classes where it's given to these new immigrants where we can go there and show them how gorgeous life can be if you just let the country you're in, if you just accept it just like they've accepted you. And that's the secret. We need to go after that and find it. And let's find that common ground. And thank you very much. And I will see you soon.